star players get the bulk of the attention, which results in some extremely talented individuals getting severely underrated.
Jaylen Warren is the best back on the roster, and I want to say this, he's not just more explosive than Harris, he's one of the best backs in the NFL.
It's time to pay them their dues. Time to dig in and highlight the 10 most underrated players in the game today. DJ Reader, defensive tackle, Detroit Lions. When it comes to players that are wildly underrated around the NFL, DJ Reader is a great place to start. The good news for Reader, however, is that his departure from the Cincinnati Bengals, where he was a cornerstone in their defense for the last 4 years, to the Detroit Lions may finally highlight his true value. Reader was not just a key defensive leader on the Bengals who made his teammates better with his leadership, it was also his dynamic play in the trenches that changed the entire structure of the Bengals defense and opened up a ton of opportunities for teammates and optionality in terms of scheme. His sack numbers might be modest, just 9.5 in his career, but life as an interior defensive lineman is not all about stats, especially not sack totals. Reader's contributions cannot and should not be overlooked. Andrew Wlady, offensive tackle, Washington Commanders. Wly's story is one of grit, determination, and growth. He started off undrafted out of Eastern Michigan and bounced around practice squads before he finally landed with the Chiefs, where he eventually earned a chance to start. In Kansas City, he became a crucial part of the Chiefs' offensive line that protected Patrick Mahomes and contributed to their explosive offense. But there were plenty of bumps along the way. He was moved all around the line due to injuries and at times struggled, but he was able to rise to the occasion for Kansas City in Super Bowl 57 against a tough Eagles defensive front. Wlady parlayed his performance into a new contract with the Washington Commanders, joining his OC in Kansas City, Eric Bieniemy. He struggled early in Washington, but really rounded into form as the season went on and is a big part of what they are trying to build in DC around Jaden Daniels, even if no one in the media ever says his name. Trevor Lawrence, quarterback, Jacksonville Jaguars. While some folks are clamoring to slap a big old bust label on Trevor Lawrence, reality is he's actually underrated. Yeah, it's easy to look at his roller coaster journey in the NFL, particularly the cliff that he and the Jaguars fell off in the second half of the 2023 season, and pick apart the young quarterback's game. And yeah, there's no denying that was particularly challenging for both Lawrence and the Jags. And it was extremely disappointing to see after the way that they started their season. But come on, let's call a spade here. The issues down in Jacksonville extended far beyond Lawrence, who was also battling and downplaying a very serious back injury during that span. Lawrence faced numerous dropped passes and poor protection from his offensive line, both serious contributors to a lack of consistency that we saw out of the Jacksonville offense. It's not hard for that to affect a young QB's rhythm and confidence, especially when he was forced to make hurried decisions under duress more often than not. 2024 is, for sure, a pivotal moment in his young career. But by the looks of it, the Jaguars have finally put the pieces in place for Lawrence to really thrive. And you know, we think that he is not gonna be underrated for too much longer. Zack Tom, offensive tackle, the Green Bay Packers. Zack Tom might not be a household name. In fact, he almost definitely isn't. But such is life when you play in the trenches, especially in a tiny market like Green Bay. But in any case, the lack of shine that he gets nationally is not indicative of his performance on the field. In fact, it's far from it. The offensive tackle regularly takes on some of the best pass rushers in the game and does so with relative ease. Packers offensive coordinator Adam Stenavich is spoiled by Tom, who doesn't require additional scheming or support to execute. He can line up helmet on helmet with the best of them and protect their newly highest paid asset, Jordan Love. Tom not only does a great job of protecting Love, but I'd go as far as to suggest that he is a big part of why Love has been so successful early on in his career as a starter. Isaac Yiadom, cornerback, San Francisco 49ers. Isaac Yiadom is another name that has somehow managed to fly under the radar, but his impact is very hard to ignore. 2024 will be his first season in San Francisco, as he was brought in to help shore up a 49ers defensive backfield during a transitionary period. But there are high hopes for him inside the facilities at Santa Clara. Yiadom had an underappreciated but very impressive season last year with the Saints, where he allowed fewer than 50% of passes thrown his way to be completed, and held receivers to just 6.9 yards per catch. His aggressive, fearless play style make him a perfect fit for the 49ers. From the moment he was tested by top receivers, he showed that he could handle the pressure and deliver when it counts, which is pivotal for SF, considering they are very much in Super Bowl or bust territory. The 49ers defense defense has been one of the top units in the game over the last few seasons, but 2023 was a little bit up and down. Still, you can't deny that they have the potential to be very special this season, especially with the addition of Isaac Yiadom, who fills a much-needed role for the 49ers, and is very much on an upward trajectory within his own career. DJ Reed, cornerback, New York Jets. The Jets roster is filled with high-profile players that have flocked to the Big Apple to play with Aaron Rodgers during the twilight of his career. But even on star-studded teams, there are always underrated guys that are critical to the success of the team. And you know, DJ Reed definitely fits that bill. He has quietly been one of the league's most consistent cornerbacks, dating back to when Seattle acquired the little-known former 5th-round pick. Reed immediately made an impact there, showcasing his versatility by playing both outside and in the slot. It's understandable that in New York, he ends up getting overshadowed by Sauce Gardner. But make no mistake about it, he deserves just as much credit for the impressive output that the Jets secondary constantly delivers. Tevin Jenkins, offensive guard, Chicago Bears. Tevin Jenkins' transition from tackle to guard has been seamless to say the very least. Despite battling injuries and the inherent challenges of the aforementioned positional shift, Jenkins finished the 2023 season as PFF's 14th highest graded guard. He's going to have a very important task ahead of him this season with protecting the Bears' #1 overall pick, quarterback Caleb Williams. So we may start to see his profile rise. Jenkins, like many of the talented offensive linemen out there, has really not gotten the national credit that he deserved for his exceptional play thus far in his young career. This is in part due to the battles with injuries that he's had and, well, the Bears just being a dumpster fire all the time. But expectations are up in Chicago, meaning 2024 should be a great opportunity for Jenkins to start to prove to the rest of the league what Bears fans have known since he came into the league as a second-round pick back in 2021. Jaylen Warren, running back, Pittsburgh Steelers. Jaylen Warren just might be the Steelers' best-kept secret. Despite being overshadowed by Najee Harris, Warren has shown that he is plenty capable of a featured role. Even if the Steelers, for some bizarre reason, continually elected to give the ball to the plodding Harris instead. 106 more times to be precise. This is particularly surprising because, well, the explosive Warren averaged over 5 yards a pop, and he proved to be an effective pass catcher coming out of the backfield. His 61 receptions last season finished 5th among running backs. With a big physical front leading the way, featuring a power runner like Harris doesn't really make a lot of sense. And unfortunately for Warren, until the Steelers figure that out for themselves, he's going to continue to fly under the radar. Kyle Pitts, tight end, Atlanta Falcons. It is hard for a 4th overall pick who was selected to the Pro Bowl during his rookie season in the NFL to be considered underrated. But you know, with the way that the former Florida standouts' last 2 seasons have really gone in Atlanta, I think it's fair to say that people have begun to overlook what a rare talent Pitts truly is. The man is 6'6" and 250 pounds with a 4.4 speed and big-time leaping ability. And yes, I know none of this really suggests underrated per se, but reality is that the shocking lack of usage that he got in Atlanta in his 2nd and 3rd NFL seasons has really changed the entire narrative around Pitts. People have simply forgotten that he has all the makings of a bona fide star at tight end. When healthy, Pitts is a matchup nightmare for defenses, all thanks to his size, speed, and incredible catch radius. He can stretch the field and make contested catches with the best of them. Once he actually gets showcased in the offense, particularly now that the Falcons have an actual quarterback with Kirk Cousins getting brought into town, along with a new coaching regime and offensive system, I think things should be trending upward for Pitts. But hey, for the time being, it is still hard to call the tight end anything other than underrated and underappreciated. Leo Chenal, linebacker, Kansas City Chiefs. Leo Chenal is just entering his 3rd NFL season, all of which has been with the Kansas City Chiefs. The young linebacker originally entered the NFL as a 3rd-round pick, and he has really proven to be a very important rotational piece on a defense that, as a whole, you could argue is underrated. And after the way he played during the Chiefs' 25-22 overtime win in last year's Super Bowl over the San Francisco 49ers, well, don't be surprised if Leo Chenal really starts to come into his own this year. Because under the brightest lights and on the biggest of stages, he did it all, notching 6 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, forcing a fumble, and delivering a quarterback hit and a blocked extra point. point. He hasn't been an every down player yet, obviously, which is part of the reason he has been overlooked. But it will be interesting to see if the big physical linebacker starts to be featured in a more prominent role for the Chiefs D. But hey, who do you think is the most underrated player in the NFL today? Who do you think we got right? Who did you think we missed on? Was there anybody you would have included on this list? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, well, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.